Hello, Gabe. How are you?
I'm fantastic, Josh. How are you doing?
I'm good, brother. Very good. Just it's a little cold and dreary here in San Diego, but I don't think anybody's feeling bad for me. So we'll jump right into our topic.
It is abnormal though, right?
It is. It
Nice.
is. It
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
But speaking of abnormal, this whole new AI world that we're living in that everyone's talking about, and it's all the craze, and it's a craze for good reason. I mean, if you've explored any of it, you're kind of like, holy smokes, this is some wild stuff here. But you and I were talking a little bit about the power of AI, but also because sometimes things are so possible, you're kind of like, dude, I don't even know where to start. And I think whenever you're into a new space, there's a lot of unknowns. And so we're kind of thinking and mapping that when we think about our analytics. Let's talk a little bit about where those two worlds come together of like what's possible and then kind of like, how do I even get started with that?
Yeah. Yeah. So the experience that I had that I'll share. So, reading about Chat GPT, it's so exciting. You have this like AI that can answer a million questions. I think by now we've all seen the ways that it can get weird and how it can be wrong and sometimes lie, but still interesting, right? But the thing is, you sit there at a prompt and you go, I can ask this thing anything that I want. And when I do it to go sit down and play with it, often I'm like, I kind of freeze and I go, I could ask you anything. I don't know what to ask. And
Right.
it got me thinking that there's a similarity there with analytics and data. And that with and so for a lot of our clients, they go, I have all this data, right? And it can tell me a bunch of things, but I don't know what to ask. I don't know the questions to ask it because I don't have the familiarity. I don't have the work with it. And in fact, on this AI stuff, one of the new things that people are talking about is that a new job that's going to be created, and, besides all the ones that it's going to get rid of, a new job that it'll create is the idea of a prompt engineer, someone who's actually just knows how to ask questions of AI and get the right answer. I think that's a whole other conversation that we can have. But
Yeah.
there's a parallel there with analytics of, this is what data analysts do is they know how to ask the right questions of the data to get something actionable out of it.
Right.
So, in our space across, events, community learning, there's some basic stuff that is universal to every one of our clients, right? What
Right.
topics are popular? What sessions had the most attendance? What speakers were popular? What do people say they were into versus what they actually were into and what they did on the
Right.
platform?
Right.
And we, so we can provide that right out of the box with Juno in our analytics dashboard. But
Right.
great. So then the next thing though is like, all right, I want to, now that I've gotten that data, the one of the ideas I love is this idea of data curiosity.
Mm,
So I get one question answered, and then it's like, oh well, that led to another question. It's like having a conversation with somebody, right? And
right.
and it's why Chat GPT is so interesting. Is like I don't just ask it a question, but I can kind of start to ask follow up questions, and
Right.
has a conversation with me, right? So to enable that with our analytics, really just to kind of start people on that journey. I mean, and just like this AI journey, we're really at like day zero of this in a way, right?
Totally.
Maybe, I mean, we've got some stuff with analytics, but this ability to really dig deeper. So one of the new features I'm super excited about is in our new analytics dashboard. We did a lot more with that out of the box. Here's the things we know everybody's going to want to know,
Yep.
but then also gave you a way to explore the data and export it and then analyze it further in another tool, whatever that is for you, be that Excel, Tableau, Power
Right.
BI, right? Because we don't know the questions that our customer is going to ask. Once they've done that first, like what was a popular topic? The next thing might be then like, well, what was popular with people in this
Mm,
geographic area?
exactly.
Or what was popular in this demographic, right? And we don't, that's going to be different business by business.
Yep.
Um, and so we don't want to just get it where we gave you step one and then stopped and sorry, can't go
Right.
any deeper. And so what I'm excited about is this ability to then export the data, do some filtering on it. It's big data, get the data set you need, and then be able to analyze that and actually start that process of data curiosity and start us better at, what's the next question that I want to ask rather than blanking and going, I don't know what to ask. I just know I
So
want stuff.
what do you think? I mean, I'm just kind of curious, like if I'm listening to this, I'm like, what are some of the main questions people are asking, just out of curiosity?
Again, that's I'm trying to think now. One of like that was a one that one that we did where like a customer came back and said this is great, but help us with this next level of detail.
Yep.
Um, And I know, certainly one that I think is really interesting is that looking at what people say they're interested. We go back to our declared versus discovered,
Mhm.
and the way that our actual AI recommendation engine works. And what we find again, a lot of times people say that they are into one thing, but then they visit a lot of other stuff,
Right.
and not the thing they said they're into. The one instead of data we were just looking at, what the client was, they had some personal things in there. They had like fitness nut, but a lot of people picked that as, yes, I'm a fitness nut. Very few people went like consumed the content that was in the fitness nut category. Interesting how that happens.
Yeah. Well, it's always, I guess to your point too, we think we know what we want, until I remember it's kind of a funny analogy, but I remember like whenever I didn't have money or I don't have money and I walk into a store, I want everything in it. And then I've got money and I'm like, well, I don't know that it's worth it now. So you get to
Yeah.
that moment where there's the actual exchange moment and everything changes. And I think it's funny like that with data too. It's like, I want everything. And then you get access and you're like, I don't actually know what I want. And so I think that's part of what's made, this AI stuff so powerful is it's like, I know what you want. So I think the more we can get smart with it too and help people figure that stuff out, it's going to come a long way.
Yeah, 100%. And I will, and not that we're announcing this as an announcement yet, but certainly we are investigating and looking at how we could point AI at the Juno data and what could that tell us.
Yeah.
We're a little ways away from that. We're not Microsoft. Don't have that R&D budget. But I mean, that is an interesting one. So, but as an intermediate step, before we can point AI at it and have it just tell you how to run your business, what we want to do is empower our businesses to get the data that they need. And so we have a really slick interface to do that now. I'm actually quite excited about this. Was something that a lot of times if our clients needed this kind of thing, they would have to make a custom request, and we would go build a custom report, take a day or something, not bad. But now it's just like dragging some filters and saying, I want to know, members that attended sessions, give me that list of data, and then be able to do some further analysis on that. So I think it's going to be a very powerful tool for sparking that data curiosity. And then we get that feedback. We start to build that into our platform, create better and better tools, and one day have AI that just tells us what we need to know.
Exactly. Just ask me.
Yeah.
Tell me about this. Listen, there's no doubt the speed of technology is changing in a powerful, exciting way. Look, I think there's two things too, I would say, and this is a thought for all of us, is like data is great. But what do they say? Like ideas versus execution, and the data can be great, but I mean, at the end of the day, let's go back to the core function. Are you providing value, which is educating, connecting people together? That's what's going to keep them there. And I think sometimes we have to be careful that information is not what creates transformation.
Mm-hmm.
It's really always going to come back to the most basic things, man. Am I learning? Am I connected to people? Am I growing? These things that are so fundamental. And so I think I just want to keep reminding us too, even on this conversation of, look, you can have all the data in the world you want, but if you're not Maslow's hierarchy of needs, if you're not fulfilling the most basic thing people have, they're still going to, go, this isn't for me. And so I think always as a membership organization, we got to continue to say, educate, connect, educate, connect, educate, connect, and you're always going to have tons of directional impact. So anyway,
100%. Yeah.
Super interesting. Can't wait to see where it all goes.
Yeah.
Can't wait to show more of our analytics packages. And let's keep going, man. I love it.
Doing it.
All right, brother.
Thanks, Josh.
Talk to you soon, man.
Talk soon.
All right, bye.